We believe that if you focus on jobs and you focus on helping middle-class families and small businesses, and they do well, it will trickle up.
The decision that the Senate and the Congress have to make over the next few months, for sure, is whether the President's plan for extending part of the Bush tax cuts for 98% of the public, plus extending some of the tax cuts that were included in the Recovery Act, should be adopted, or the Republican plan, which would not extend the Recovery Act tax cuts for middle and low-income people, but would extend the tax cuts for the best off 2% of the population. 80% of the income groups, 80% of the public, would get a bigger tax cut under President Obama's plan than they would under the Republican plan. But the top 1% of the population will get a tax cut of almost $46,000 more under the Republican plan. So everybody in this country has a horse in this race. Do you want to pay higher taxes so the rich can pay lower taxes? Do you want to pay for a $700 billion increase in the federal debt over the next 10 years? And believe me, people will pay for it, whether it's less safe food or roads that don't get fixed or a poorer education system or higher taxes in the future.
One of the things that we all know is that it's critically important that working families, middle-class families, have the help that they need, the money in their pocket they need so they can care for their families.
There's a clear contrast between what the Democrats are attempting to do and what the Republicans are doing. We want to help small businesses. We want to help middle-income families. We want to extend the tax relief during these economic times to middle-income families. We want to help small businesses grow. The Republicans, on the other hand, are interested in protecting Wall Street executives, CEOs, the wealthiest in this nation.
If the American public thinks, gee, I'd like to pay more in taxes so rich people can pay less, and then I'd really like it so my kids don't get educated so well and my eggs make me sick, they should go with the Republican plan. On the other hand, they don't have to. There is an alternative.
And we are committed to making sure that we extend the tax cuts for middle-class Americans. That's very important.
The Bush administration told us that if we gave massive tax cuts to the wealthiest among us, the rich would invest and growth and rising living standards would follow. Now we know the facts. In the years that followed those tax cuts saw the weakest growth in investment, family income, and jobs in the post-World War II era.
We've got to get this budget in balance. It is a drain on our economic recovery if we just continue to do policies that add to the deficit that don't have a return for job growth. The extension of the tax cut for our wealthiest, for our millionaires, will add $700 billion to the national deficit. Adding $700 billion to the national debt to help the wealthiest Americans will not help us in our recovery. There's never been a clear difference between the Democrats and Republicans on this issue. We stand with middle-income families.
What we're proposing is that we focus on middle-class families and our small businesses, that we stop the jobs going overseas, and that we put back in place policies that are going to pay down the deficit and invest in jobs.